Well, hello and welcome back, and thanks for coming back. I'm sitting at the top of Tower. I've got a nice hot latte. I've got a great view, by the way, which I'll show you at the end of the video. But today's topic is talking about buying a car. Now, a lot of people come to Cyprus perhaps to retire or perhaps to just buy a holiday home. Most times you are going to need a car. So how do you buy a car when you are in Cyprus? And it is very easy, like anywhere else in the world. All you need is some money, some insurance, off you go, and you choose the car that you like. Now, many people, perhaps if they are relocating to Cyprus, perhaps buying a holiday home or perhaps a permanent home, will just go to a main dealer and buy a brand new car, and it's very, very easy. But a lot of people, of course, buy a second-hand car. So how do you buy a second-hand car in Cyprus? You can either go and buy it privately, or you can go by a trader or a car dealer, isn't it? Those are the two options that you've got. Now, I'm going to try and explain to you what you have to do and what you need to do. Most people buying a car are going to want to buy it legally. So therefore, you're going to want to have it in your name, have insurance on it, make sure it's got an MOT and those kind of things. So the first option is to go and buy it privately. So you scour the website and you look in the newspapers and you talk to people in restaurants and bars and plenty of cars for sale, obviously. And you think you found that perfect car and you're going to buy it off an individual, so privately. How do you do it? Well, it is very, very simple, but at the same time, it's a little bit complicated as well. First of all, you need to agree the price. Second, you need to give that person the money, and this is where the problem comes in. You've got to organise the insurance, and then you've got to go and get the car transferred from that person's name to your name. Now, it's not complicated, but of course now the two people need to be in the same place at the same time. Now, you may have all the time in the world, but the person that you're buying it off may not, because they may be working and all these kind of things, and you've got limited hours on the post office, on the Citizens Advice Bureau and the Road Transport Department. And the Road Transport Department, you actually have to have an appointment to go in there, and currently it's running at about 6 weeks away. So you could find yourself in the scenario where you found the car you like, you've agreed the price you like, you want to give the money, but now you want to transfer the car into your name, and that's when the problems start. Now, I'm not trying to get you to buy off a car dealer like myself. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to explain to you how it works. So you found the car that you want, you've agreed the price that you want in a private sale now, and now you want to go and change it into your name. So the first things you're going to have is an insurance certificate in your name, okay? Obviously, your current MOT has got to be valued on the car, and I believe currently it has to have 30 days, otherwise they won't do the transfer. Obviously, you need to have an ID, which is a passport or perhaps a residency card, and you will need a utility bill or a rental contract or a property contract with an address on it, so that they can find you if you are a naughty person and get speeding tickets and those kind of things. So it's very, very easy. But like I say, you and the other individual have then got to go to either the Road Transport Department, where you need an appointment, so that one is a little bit complicated, or the post office. They're open from early in the morning until around about lunchtime, so limited hours, like I say, or you can go to the Citizens Advice Office or Bureau, as they call it, and again, open from around about 8 until around about 1. But again, both of you have got to be there. Both of you have got to have the relevant paperwork. So the car you're buying has got to have the registration document in that person's name. They've got to have the MOT with a validity of a minimum of 30 days. You will need to have an insurance certificate in your name. You will need to have some kind of utility bill or rental contract with your name and address on it. And of course, you'll need to have the money to give to that individual when they transfer it to you. The transfer from them to you is less than 10 euros. It's about €8.59. Strange amount of money, but there we go. 10 euros, that's what it is. So that's how you do it if you're buying it in a private transaction. Now, you can get someone to do that transfer for you, but of course you've got to have the permission of the person that you're buying the car from. If you're buying it from a friend, someone you know very, very well, not a problem. But most times when you're buying a car privately, it's just an individual that you've come across via a friend or from a restaurant or a bar, or you've seen an advert, so it can be quite complicated. It's all about trust, isn't it? It's all about trust. And anyway, so that's that one. The easiest way to buy a car if you are new to Cyprus is to buy it from a car trader, car dealer, someone like myself. That's simple as that. Why? Because all you've got to do is choose the car that you want. We agree the price. You go and get the insurance, and everything else is done for you. It's that simple. When you pick up your car, the car is in your name, you drive away, and everything is hunky-dory. Now, let's talk about, obviously you need the money if you're going to buy a car, but you need the insurance, obviously, to get a car. Now, there's lots of insurance companies in Cyprus, just like anywhere else in the world, who will attend to you, shall we say, and of course take your money and give you that insurance certificate. Predominantly people watching us are British, German, French, etc., and they will communicate probably through the language of English. So there are two insurance brokers in Paphos, that's where we're based, and one of them is Abigate Insurance. They're a pretty well-known brand, by the way, because they've got branches in Spain, in Portugal, and of course in Cyprus, and they are a British-run agency. So there's no loss of communication. You can do it on the phone, you can do it on the internet, you can go into their office, which is on the traffic lights by Masoi Avenue as you go up there. And of course the other one is called Top Quotes, and Top Quotes is in Midtown Clorica by Papa Antonio Supermarket, which is soon to become Skevanidis Supermarket, by the way, because the Papa Antonio group has been bought out and slowly it's being rebranded, and it will become Skevanidis. See, some more information for you on the little channel known as Cars and Me. But anyway, so you've got, in my opinion, two options to get your insurance, the easiest options. And those easiest options are Abigate Insurance, remember that name, and Top Quotes Insurance, remember that name, because there's no problem with the communication when you're talking in English. And that's not to say that if you go to GAN Direct or Cosmos Insurance that there'll be a problem with English. I'm not saying there isn't. Shop around for insurance, but I always use Abigate or Top Quotes. I find it the easiest option, and most expats that live in Cyprus use these. When I say most, I mean 65-70% of the cars in and around Paphos. When you dig deep into their insurance, yes, it might be insured by AIG or someone else, but the policy was issued by normally Abigate or Top Quotes. So they're competitive on the price, by the way, as well. So they're probably the best options. So you've sorted insurance, and now you're going to go and buy the car of your dreams from the car dealer, the car trader. All you do, walk in, agree the price, hand over the cash, check, transfer the money, give them the insurance certificate. 3 or 4 days time, that car will be in your name. You will be called and you will arrive and you will pick up your new car. So it is as simple as that, by the way. It's not complicated. We always think everything's more complicated when we go to a foreign country, and it actually isn't. Because again, when you buy a car, let's say in the UK, privately, we all can fall in love with a car privately, but often, if you are buying it off that little old lady or that little old man, probably it's a good car. But of course, most cars sold privately have got probably the odd problem or two. If you buy it off a car trader, not trying to get you to buy one off me, that's not what I'm trying to do. But if you buy it off a car trader, car dealer, it will come with a minimum warranty of 3 months, often 6 months, often 12 months. Obviously, if you're buying a newer car that's still covered by warranty, that warranty will run for the duration of that warranty. If you're buying a brand new car today, in general, it's around 5 years, so peace of mind, isn't it? So I would always say, if you are certainly just coming to Cyprus first time to buy that car, I would buy it from a car trader or a car dealer. And car traders and car dealers work in cahoots with each other, shall we say. Like myself, I can probably hunt down a lot of different cars for you and take all that hassle out of it. You tell us what car you want, and normally we can go and find it, even in the colour and with the mileage that you want. And it's as simple as that. And in general, we are dealing in not always new cars, You know, they can be, we sell cars up to like 20 odd years old, because in Cyprus, of course, cars do last a long, long time because they don't have that thing called rust. And cars in Cyprus, you know, overall are probably better cars than in the UK once they get to 5 to 6 years old, because there's no rust for a start. The biggest fault on cars in Cyprus is what the sun does to the paintwork. But as I always say to my customers, I would rather have sun damage than rust damage. It's as simple as that. When we take cars for MOTs, we never get any problems with the chassis or the underbody of the car. It's always to do with, you know, something wrong with the gearbox, something wrong with the suspension, something wrong with the lights, those kind of things. So you can rest assured you're not going to buy a banger in Cyprus for rust, is what I mean. Now, let's talk about the prices of cars, because if you're coming from mainland Europe, you are familiar with these prices, and they are similar. You know, Germany, France, Spain, Portugal prices are, shall we say, high compared to UK prices. So a lot of people coming to Cyprus are coming from the UK. And perhaps you want to run around, isn't it? Perhaps that, you know, you've got all the money in the world, but you only want to run around. Perhaps you're only coming out for 2 weeks every 6 months or so. So you're thinking, I'll tell you what, you know, I'll go and buy myself. In the UK, I could get a run around for £700, £800. I'll go and spend £1,000 and I'll get a decent car. You won't. You definitely won't. Well, you can be very lucky, obviously, but 99% certain that you won't. You will end up with a car that probably doesn't even get you back home. Exactly. Right, so I wouldn't do that. Cars which are runarounds, I would say, start off at around about 2,500 to 3,000 euros. So if you're buying a car 2,500, 3,000 euros from a trader, from a dealer, that car will be a half decent car. It doesn't mean the bodywork's perfect, doesn't mean the interior's perfect, but it means the suspension and the engine and the gearbox will be to an acceptable standard. So cars kick off at around about 2,500 to 3,000 euros for that runabout. From there on, you go up to say 5,000, 6,000 euros, and you're now going to start to get quite a decent little car. You know, I always talk about Toyota Yaris's and Honda Jazzes. So you are going to get, what should we say, a 2008, 2009. So yeah, quite an old car, but remember, no rust. And often you can find those cars have only had 1, 2 or 3 owners. They haven't had 20 owners, and they haven't been thrashed, shall we say. I mean, some of them have, don't get me wrong. But normally you open a door in a car, have a look at the driver's seat, have a look at the brake pedal, have a look at the steering wheel, have a look at the bits and bobs, and it gives you a fair idea of how the car has been driven. It might have a little knock here, it might have a scrape here, it may have some sun damage, because that's the sun, and that's what it does to cars in Cyprus. But I would say 6-ish, 7-ish to 8,000 euros, you're going to get a decent car. That's what you're going to get. When you go up to 10,000, to be honest, the world opens up a lot. 10 to 12,000 euros, you are going to get a very, very good car. Not a new car, you know. Well, it depends on what you want, obviously. I mean, you can, shall we say, I mean, I've just bought a Toyota Bigo. Well, it's actually a Daihatsu Bigo, but for those of you who know, Toyota owns Daihatsu, and Toyota make a version called the Cami and the Rush, and Daihatsu make the Bigo version and the Terios version. But that's a very, very good car. Now, it's got sun damage. It's been a holiday car for many, many years, so hasn't done many kilometres, hasn't had that much use, but it's been garaged and been looked after. But sun has taken its toll, so it needs the roof painting, it needs the bonnet painting, tops of the doors, a lot of paintwork. But structurally very, very sound, interior immaculate, all those kind of things. So that car, by the time we finish doing it up, is going to owe us around about 4-ish thousand euros, somewhere around there. And that car, I don't think I'm going to sell it, by the way. I think I'm going to keep it, because Marika quite likes it. That's my partner in my crime, so she quite likes those cars. So we may keep it for a while. But that car would be for sale for about 5,000 euros, and to be honest, that's quite a good price. You see them on the internet in around Cyprus for around about 6,500 euros. Often they don't sell. And that's another thing in Cyprus, by the way. You will see cars up for sale and then they vanish. They go from Paphos to Limassol to Nicosia, and then they reappear again, and then often the price comes down, and sometimes you can see the same car on sale for years. I'm Talking the truth there, by the way. So do your homework when you're going to buy a car, and perhaps, well, we all have conceived ideas of what we want from a car. You know, perhaps in the UK you drive a BMW 3 Series, perhaps you drive a 5 Series, perhaps you drive a Bentley, who knows. In Cyprus, your idea of car will change, I can promise you. The distances that you will cover are shorter. There's not many expats that live in Paphos that go to Limassol on a regular basis, and Limassol is 65 kilometres, so that's what, 40 miles away. Most people in their daily commute will do 15, 20 kilometres in a day, and I'm serious now, so about 10 miles. So you don't need a big car. So primarily, most expats who come to Cyprus buy either something like a Honda Jazz, a Toyota Yaris, Ford Fiesta size, that kind of thing, or they go down the little jacked up four-wheel drive, and then they'll buy something like a Terios, a Toyota RAV4. And primarily, you may have noticed all the brands I'm talking about are Japanese. Now, you may not like Japanese cars, but Cyprus does. And there's a reason for it. And the reason is they are very reliable, but all cars break down and all parts then need parts. And parts is what it's all about when you are in Cyprus. For those of you who follow the channel know I've got a Jaguar XJ. It's a fabulous car, it really is. But parts is a problem because, of course, it's a very, very rare car. It didn't sell many in the UK, but of course in the UK, the transportation of parts is pretty quick. In Cyprus, it's a little bit cigar, as they say, which is slowly. So if you buy something like a Toyota, a Suzuki, a Volkswagen, a Honda, as long as you stay to the norm, isn't it? Don't go off onto some tangent of some rare one. You will always find parts, so your car will not be sitting in the mechanics for the next 20 years or so. Another brand that's broken into the Cyprus market hugely is Kia and Hyundai, because of course they are the same company. So, you know, there's a lot of those for sale. But again, parts. And when I mean parts, I'm talking about what we will call second-hand parts in the UK. They're now referred to as green parts, because there's nothing wrong with a second-hand headlight if you break it, as long as it's in perfect condition. And of course you can buy that headlight for a couple of hundred instead of a couple of thousand. Yeah, that's right, a couple of thousand. But again, if you start to go down the route of a slightly rarer car, obviously parts is a problem. So if you're coming to Cyprus, buy yourself a Honda. And I mean a Honda Jazz, you've got Honda HR-V, you've got the Honda CR-V. These are the perfect cars for Cyprus. If you want to go down the Toyota route, you've got the Toyota Yaris, could be the greatest car in the world. You've got the Toyota Yaris Cross, a little bit jacked up. You've got the Corolla Cross, again jacked up. And of course, probably the most popular car in the world, the Toyota RAV4. So if you buy those cars, reliability is very, very good. Parts supply is exceptional, and they are very, very good cars. So I've waffled on enough. Hopefully I've got it through to you that you can buy a car privately, and I'm not trying to make it complicated. The complication is in the fact that you and the other person will have to go to the various offices. Road Transport Office, you need an appointment to go into there, so forget that one. Post Office, you can do it there in the mornings. You can do it in the Citizens Advice Bureau in the mornings. Again, you and that other person must be there. The registration document must be in that person's name. They must have ID that, should we say, tallies, and you must have an insurance certificate for that car, and it must have a valid MOT for a minimum of 30 days, and you must have some kind of proof of address. Okay, not residency, address. So a utility bill, could be electricity, could be telephone, could be water, could be a rates bill, could be a rental contract. As long as it's got the address and your name on it, they will then transfer that car into your name for just under 10 euros, and you'll walk out the office. That person's happy because you've given them money. You're happy because you've got your car. The other option, as I've said, is to go to a car trader, car dealer. All the paperwork is done for you. All you have to do is make a phone call, perhaps to Abigate Insurance, perhaps to Top Quotes Insurance, and organise the insurance. All they're going to ask you for is the registration number and, of course, the model, just to clarify that they tally on their computer. They're going to want a record of your no claims bonus if you want to use it, or they will just start you a brand new policy. It's as simple as that. And if you want to talk about after you've had your car, let's talk about that for a few minutes. MOT, I mentioned that. The MOT is due every 2 years, and then of course it then runs for 2 years. Not quite as stringent as it is in some European countries or as in the UK. So, you know, you can have the odd light bulb that's not working and they'll pass your MOT and just say your light bulb's not working. Your windscreen wipers, you need new windscreen wipers, there's your MOT. So, but they're not going to make, if the emissions are too high, you've got to get that sort of done. Suspension, brakes, you've got to get those things done. So MOT every 2 years. Your insurance obviously runs for 6 months, although with the likes of Abigate and Top Quotes, and probably the other insurance companies, you can switch your insurance on and switch your insurance off. Whether it's that much cheaper is questionable, but you can, if you're not using the car, switch the insurance off and switch the insurance back on. Road tax, that's another one, isn't it? Now, road tax varies hugely on cars, and I often see comments on Facebook about, for example, someone is driving, let's say a big Pajero, so a big Shogun four-wheel drive, and the road tax on that currently, if it was registered in Cyprus before 2004, okay? It doesn't have to be a Cyprus registered car brand new, but if it was in Cyprus before 2004, 2005, okay, registered here, that is, the road tax on that car is about €330, so it's not too bad. But if that car came in at around about 2007, 2008, the same car, okay, obviously it'll be slightly newer, but that doesn't matter. It's the same car with the same engine, but the emissions are lower, obviously. But the point is, the road tax is around €650. Now, if you bought that same car, because you can't buy that car anymore, that's like a 2006, 2007 car. If you bought that car in the UK today and brought that car into Cyprus, one, they are going to give you a very good seeing to at the port, but on top of that, your road tax will be somewhere around about €1,200. So what I'm trying to say to you is, word of warning, if you're buying a car, make sure that you check what the road tax is. And again, listen very carefully to what the person says, because they may say, oh, the road tax is only €150. But what they didn't tell you was that was only for 3 months, because you can tax a car in Cyprus for 3 months, every 3 months, if you understand me, for 6 months, for 9 months, or for 12 months. So another little thing to be wary of. Ask to see the printouts of the road tax. And on there, all right, it's in Greeklish, but you will see, and you'll work it out at the bottom, how much was paid and where it's valued to, because that's in numbers. Okay, so another little word of warning. Some people, isn't it, will say, oh, the road tax is only €150, but you find out for the year it is 650 or €700. So it's a little con. The next one, like I've said, we were talking about the same car being registered in Cyprus at different times. That's another one. So you might phone someone up to talk about a car and ask them what year it is, and they might say to you, oh, registered in Cyprus 2007. You take that as that means the car is 2007. No, it is not. The car was registered brand new perhaps in 2001, let's say in Japan or in the UK or Singapore, then shipped to Cyprus, and it arrived in Cyprus in 2007. So you could be looking at two cars which look exactly the same, back to this Pajero because it ran for a long time. One was manufactured in 2001 and let's say bought brand new in Cyprus, and one was manufactured in 2001 but registered in, let's say, Japan, brought to Cyprus in 2007. So now this car is still a 2001, but of course the plate will, shall we say, give it away that it's a newer car. And when you look at the registration document, there will be 3 dates: manufacture, import and registration date. So a little bit complicated. So it's a minefield. Like anywhere buying a car in the world, it is a minefield. So if I was you, I would buy a car from a dealer. But again, Listen to all the things I've told you, because again, dealers can tell you this is a 2007 car, but what they mean is it was registered in Cyprus in 2007. So ask to see the registration document. And like I say, on the left-hand side of it, it's all in Greek, but there are 3 dates, okay? If it was registered brand new in Cyprus, there'll only be 2 dates, okay? And those dates will be exactly the same. If there's a 3rd date in there, that tells you the first is the date of manufacture, second is the date of registration, and the 3rd will be the date of Cyprus registration. And then also, if it's been transferred to someone else, it'll show you a different date, those kind of things. So hopefully this video has helped a little bit. I know it's mind-blowing, but buying a car in Cyprus is very, very simple. It is. You don't need any special credentials, passport or ID from whichever country you're from, a bill in your name, and of course an insurance certificate and a little bit of money. Simple as that. I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the like, smash that subscribe. Please don't forget to keep on coming back for that little bit more of my madness as I buy cars, sell cars, take you around the body shop, take you into the mechanics and talk to you about cars. And hopefully I can get across to you that, you know, car dealers have got this image, haven't they? A lot of people say, oh, they're crooks and they're thieves, but it's not true, because most of us are not. Most of us genuinely buy cars to pass on to people, and we have a good look at them and make sure they're right. If you do buy a car from a car trader, car dealer, within that warranty, take it back, most of us will do our very, very best to make sure that we put your car right, because in theory, we want you to keep coming back for service, for car body work, and hopefully to sell a car to you again. And I was always told by my grandfather, selling a car is one thing. When something goes wrong with the car and it comes back, that's how you deal with it, is another thing. And a lot of people will tell you it's not my problem. And a lot of car dealers will say, okay, I'll do my very best to sort that problem out. And of course, that means that the customer is now happy, and the customer understands that, yeah, this wasn't a bad person to buy a car off. So when they want to change their car, they go back to that person, because we all have problems, whether we buy a brand new car or a second-hand car. We can always have problems. Same in service, same in car bodywork. The car comes in for something, we fix it, it goes away. Who knows, a week, 10 days later, something else goes wrong. And often it's nothing to do with us, it's just coincidence, isn't it? Something else goes, or, well, you replace a new part and then that put more pressure onto a hose over there and that hose goes. But that's buying and selling cars. And as I say, keep coming back, because you'll watch me now and again make a couple of bob, and more often than not lose a couple of bob. That's the way it is in cars. But we do it because we love it, and we try to keep our customers very, very happy. I'm going to say cheers, yamas, as we'd say in Cyprus, and have a slurp on my hot latte. If you find the information useful, want to go and hunt us down on the Buy Me Coffee platform, the link is on our About page, and you can push that button and, well, max your credit card out and buy a coffee or two. Thanks very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next little adventure of cars and me. Thanks for watching.